Well, they were easy to collect and they were started decades ago, but the problem is they only count putts. And so if you're a foot away from the hole, you expect to take one putt. If you're 60 feet away from the hole, one putt is great. So all one putts aren't created equal. And strokes gained is a way to do better than just counting putts. The main advantage of strokes gained putting is it takes into account the difficulty of the putt. And the difficulty of the putt is primarily determined by how far you are from the hole. So if you sink a 1-footer, it's an average putt. You're not gaining or losing on the field. If you sink a 60-footer in one putt, you're gaining a lot. It's a much better performance. So those both count as one putt, but the strokes gained of one is 0. Strokes gained of the other is over 1. Because sinking a 60-footer, you're going to gain about 1.2 strokes in the field. So it gives you a much more accurate representation of your putting performance. Sure, you want to measure how many strokes you take relative to a benchmark. And on the PGA Tour, the benchmark from, say, 8 feet is 1.5 putts. That's the average number of putts a PGA Tour player will take from 8 feet. So if you sink an 8-footer, you gain a half stroke on the field, and if you 2-putt, you lose a half stroke because it's all relative to this benchmark or average of 1.5 putts. If you're 33 feet away, PGA Tour pros average 2 putts. So 1 putt gains a stroke, a 2-putt is even with the field, and a 3-putt loses a stroke on the field. Well, I think the analysis, when you look at not just putting, but off-green shots, shows that the very best tour pros gain the most strokes on the field with their approach shots, with their long game. And certainly putting and short game makes a difference, but outside 100 yards, about 65% of the gain comes from there, and only about 35% comes from inside 100 yards. So one way I like to think about it is that the best players in approach shots and in the long game tend to find themselves at the top of the leaderboard, and those that have the best putting tend to win. I think it's great for amateurs. Amateurs have a lot more room to improve than pros do. Pros are fighting for fractions of a stroke, whereas amateurs can get 3, 4, 5, 10 strokes better. So if you have an accurate diagnosis of where your strengths and weaknesses are, you can then see whether a swing change helps, whether you're getting better or worse in a given area. You can use it to set goals, and that's basically what strokes gain can do. So it's, I think, very important for serious golfers and for amateur golfers who want to improve to use, strokes gained as a measure of their performance. Well, I have an app called Golf Metrics where it's very easy for players to enter data, and you immediately get a report after the round on where you're gaining and losing strokes. There are a number of other apps out there, and the idea is that you need to record more detailed shot data, how far you are from the hole, and whether you're in the fairway or the rough or the sand. But with this more detailed data, which can be entered in just a few minutes, you get a lot better information about the state of your game. So in putting, for a general golfer or a typical golfer, the better putters gain more strokes closer to the hole. So it's really interesting to me that 3 to 6 or 7 feet is a critical range for not only amateurs but pros. There's a big difference in professional putters at 3, 4, and 5 footers, which explains a big part of the advantage of the better putters. So the closer you are to the hole, the bigger you can separate yourself, and it's because of 2 reasons. One, there are skill differences. Better putters sink more 3, 4, and 5 footers, but also you have a lot more 3, 4, and 5 footers than you have 20 and 25 footers.